Good morning, students. Today we are going to learn a poem for standard 9, that is 2.3, Somebody's Mother. It shows that here there is a reference of a mother, but it is not exactly mentioned about whose mother is that lady. So now we will see the poem. The woman was old and ragged and grey. See, in the first line, the word and is repeated. So the figures of speech in this poem is repetition. So here, woman is a common noun, but there is a definite article before it. It shows that the poet is talking about a particular lady. So that woman was old, that is, and ragged and grey. So grey means disappointed, nervous, and ragged means wearing old and torn clothes. It means the woman must be from a poor family and bent with the chill of a winter's day. So as she was old and it was a winter season, so because of the cold weather, the chill, she was bent. The streets were white with a recent snow. And here the poet is telling that the streets were looking white. The reason, just now there was a snowfall. So because of the snowfall, the streets were looking white. And the woman's feet with age were slow. And because of the age, the cold of winter season and the snowfall, so she was walking very slowly. So in the first stanza there are 4 poems and the rhyming words are 4. Grey, day, this is the first rhyming pair. The second rhyming pair is snow and slow. It shows that the rhyme scheme of the first stanza is A A B B. In the second stanza, the poet says, at the crowded crossing, she waited long. See now, the words are not arranged in proper order. The correct word order is she waited long at the crowded crossing. So the poet is telling us that woman waited for a long time at the crowded crossing. It means there was a crossing of 2 roads and it was crowded place. So there were so many people and it was difficult for the woman to cross the road. So she waited there for a long time, jostled aside by the careless throng. Jostled means pushed aside by the careless throng. Throng means large crowd. So there was a large crowd at the crossing and everybody was busy. Everybody was in a hurry. They want to go hurriedly, fastly, hastily to their destination. So they did not pay attention towards the woman. And so the careless throng jostled that lady. So that careless throng was of human beings who passed her by, unheeding the glance of her anxious eye. Unheeding, heed means to pay attention, and unheed means not to pay attention, it means ignore or neglect. So in the second stanza, the poet says, the situation of that lady, of that woman who was old and she wanted to cross the road, but there was a crossing and the vehicles were going on, even the people were walking, so there was a rush and it was difficult for the lady to cross the road, and that is why she was waiting there. and the careless people, the rush, the throng, did not pay attention. Some of them pushed her. They did not pay attention towards her. Nobody had the time to look at her anxious, worried eyes. So, in the second stanza also, there are 4 lines and the rhyme scheme is same A, because there are only 2 rhyming pairs. The first is long and strong. The second pair is by and I. So now see the next stanza, third one. In the third stanza, the poet says down. Down the street with laughter and shout, glad in the freedom of school let out. So, down the street there was a sound of laughter. Somebody was shouting. They were glad in the freedom of school let out. It means the school was over and the children were going home. That's why they were happy. Because now they are free to do whatever they want. Came happy boys like a flock of sheep. So when the school was over, how the children go from the school? By making groups. So here the poet had said that the boys were happy because their school was over that day and they came like a flock of sheep. So here the group of boys is compared with a flock of sheep. So the figure of speech is simile. Hailing the snow, piled white and deep, past the woman, so old and grey, has turned the children on their way. In this stanza, there are 6 lines. So there are 3 pairs of rhyming words. The first pair is shout out. Second pair is sheep deep. Third pair is grey way. So in this stanza, the poet says that the school was over for that day and the children were happy and they were going. They were hailing, welcoming, greeting the snow, piled white and deep, and they passed the old and grey woman. The children were hurried. They were in haste on their way because they want to reach their home as soon as possible. See the fourth stanza. None offered a helping hand to her, so weak and timid, afraid to stir. Lost lays the carriage, wheels or the horse's feet should trample her down in the slippery street. So hailing means welcoming, stir means to cause, to move slightly, and trample means tread on and crush. Has turned means be quick to do something, and lest means for the fear that. So in this stanza, the poet says that though the children were passing to their home, but they did not pay attention towards that woman who was so weak and timid. Timid means afraid, frightened. She was very much frightened, too slow to move ahead. So because of that fear, she could not cross the road, and there were some carriage wheels or the horse's feet should trample her down in the slippery street. So that street had become slippery. So it was difficult for the woman to cross the way, to cross the road, and she had a fear that the horses may trample her. It means will tread her. See the next stanza. In this stanza, the poet had said, at last, came out of the merry troops. So that was a troop. Troop means it's a group of boys. So at the end of that group of the boys who were going to their home, a happy boy of all the groups. Here the poet has used the word guest, means the happiest one. He paused beside her and whispered low, I'll help you across if you wish to go. So that boy came near to the woman and said in a low voice, whisper means to speak in a low voice. So what did the boy say to the woman? He said, I'll help you across if you wish to go. So that boy said that if it is your wish to cross the road, I will help you. In this stanza, there are 4 lines and the rhyme scheme is AAPB. The rhyming pairs are troop, group is the first pair. The second pair is low, go. The next stanza, her aged hand on his strong young arm she placed. So while crossing the road, she put her aged hand on his strong young arm, and so without hurt or harm, he guided the trembling feet along, proud that his own were young and strong. Then back again to his friends he went, his young heart happy and well content. See the hard words, merry means cheerful. Gayest means light-hearted and carefree, that is the happiest. Troop means a group. Trembling means shaking. And content means satisfied, in a state of peaceful happiness. So in this stanza, the poet had said that the young boy who was strong, he was ready to help the lady, and he guided the trembling feet, that is the old woman. He was proud that his own feet were young and strong. When he helped her to cross the road, after that he came back to his friends and then he went. His young heart was happy and well content. In this stanza there are 6 lines. The 3 rhyming pairs, arm, harm, along, strong, went, content. And the rhyme scheme is AABBCC. The next stanza, the poet said, she's somebody's mother. Boys, you know, for all, she is aged and poor and slow, and sometime may lend a hand to help my mother. You understand? If ever she's old and poor and grey, and her own dear boy so far away. So in the second last stanza, the poet says, boys, you know why I helped the old woman? Because though she is not my mother, but she is somebody's mother. Boys, you know I helped her because she is aged, poor and slow. Sometime may lend a hand to help my mother also in future if I go somewhere for any other purpose. So at that time my mother may be old, aged, poor. So at that time somebody may help my mother if I help others. So if ever she is old and poor and grey, and her own dear boy so far away, that's why I helped her. In this way, he convinced his friends to help the poor people. In the last stanza, the poet said, somebody's mother bowed low her head in her home that night, And the prayer, she said, was, God, be kind to that noble boy who's somebody's son, and pride and joy. So, in the last answer, the poet had said that the lady, the woman whom the guest boy helped, when that woman reached her home and she finished her all activities, at that time she bowed low her head and she prayed that night. And do you know what did she pray for that boy? That prayer is, God, be kind to that noble boy. Noble means generous. So she prayed and she addressed directly to the Almighty, to the Creator, by saying, Hey Lord, hey God, be kind to that generous boy who came to help me, who helped me to cross the road. We have seen in the earlier part of the poem that there was a crossing, and that lady, because of her age and cold weather, she was unable to cross. But that boy who was going to school, there were so many of his friends and there were so many boys, but nobody came to help the old woman. But this gayest boy who came from the school at last, he came to the woman himself and took her permission by saying, If you wish to cross the road, I am ready to help you. That's why the woman prayed to the God by saying, God, be kind to that noble boy who's somebody's son, and pride and joy. So she said that the boy is also a son of someone else. But he helped me generously, nobly. So be kind, be merciful to that boy. It shows that if we help others, definitely our family members who are old, grey, they will be also helped by someone else when we are not there beside our parents. If we go to some other city for various purpose, maybe for job, for business, at that time others will help our parents. So students, through this poem the poet had given the message that we must help the old people who have the difficulties to walk, to cross the road, or to carry the luggage. In such cases, we don't have to spend much more time, but easily, if we are able to solve the difficulties, we must do that. Thank you.